Again, I don't have anything on my speaker or in my lens way, but got another fly I'm about to do today. This is the hardest fly I've done to date. My first one came out awful. I'm not even gonna bother to show it because it was just so hard. Like, this takes me back to like episode 1, struggling with that. But this is massive. It's a massive fly, and I also done it on a smaller shank because it's another steelhead salmon fly thing. I'm gonna use my bigger shank, even though I think it's too big. I think it's actually gonna help us more in the long run instead of the shorter one. So I'm gonna get all this set up and we're gonna start it, and this would be my actual first time getting fully through it. I know what to do. I hope it comes out good. We're gonna try it. So let me get set up. Now before we get too far into it here, let me show you what we're using. So what we're going to be using today is a little, oh, we don't need that. We're not using that. My bad. Ugh, I got stuff everywhere from working this. So it's going to be a lot of dubbing. So we got some ice dub, minnow belly. These are the shanks. We're going to actually use these 20mm shanks, but they're just a little bit too small. I think a 20, or something like in between would have been perfect, because I think these are going to be a hair too big, but they might come out perfect. So we'll see. 2/0 hooks again, same intruder wire we've been using. We've got some light UV dub olive, just some more pearl flash, white rabbit, yellow eyes. You can probably use whatever color eye you want to, and that's in a 3/16 size. And then right here is a fire orange steelhead dubbing. We're going to be using a little bit of that. So let me get the camera set back up and I'll get back with you. Alright guys, we're back and all set up. I'm just going to put my light under here to get a little extra light to that. So I got my shank right here, and in my last steelhead fly tying video in which we used this, I didn't show how to do this, so we'll be going over in this because it's kind of important. Well, pretty important. So I'm just going to start by getting some thread down on this shank right here. And I'm just using some white Danville's thread. I'm not sure about the size of it. It's pretty thick. You can pull on it, don't have to worry about breaking. I've just put myself in a habit of drawing it out so I don't snap anything. And I'm just making my way back down here. Just getting a little bit of a thread base going on, so I could tie in everything pretty well. Alright, now I'm going to work my way all the way back up here. There we go. I'm going to snap my tag off. Alright, now I'm going to draw out some of my my intruder wire out of the pack here and snip it off. I think I'm going to do about 6 inches worth. Now, if you're like me and you got an old pair of scissors you don't mind using, you can cut your intruder wire with the old scissors. But if you're using brand new scissors, don't do that. You'll dull them out very quickly. So there's a few ways of doing this. Everybody has their own way they like to do it. And the best way to keep it all compact is to pick one flat end and start putting it and lock your wire in. So it's going to be this one right here. I'm going to cover it up real good. Get it locked in place really well. Now I'm going to turn this. And, oops, sorry, didn't mean to do that. I'm going to find the distance I want for how far I want my hook back with my loop here. So I think that's probably far enough. And I will lock this wire in on this side now too. Alright, now I'm going to take this tag right here and I'm going to take it through the eyelid and pull it down, and I'm going to pull it tight because I want it to sit as flush as possible too. There we go. And I'm just going to roll down on it a little bit. Now you can take and you can trim that tag end off once you got it locked down a little bit. There we go. Now I'm going to rotate my vise back around because I'm good where I'm at. And I'm going to cover up the rest of that tag in. And I'm just going to follow it all the way down. And you don't have to have a good, really compact, really like one over the other thread line going here. Just enough to get it tied down good and secure. Because once you get it tying on here, all this stuff's going to lock in. I mean, it's already pretty locked in as it is, but it'll get more so. Alright. Now I'll take it back up. And if you wanted to at this point, you could put your hook on your eye there, but there's really no need to at the moment. Okay. I'll leave it right there. Now, I'm going to take one of my dumbbell eyes out here, if I can get one out. I feel like every time I go to try to get one in my hand, I get 30. So I'm going to take one of these, and I'm going to put it on the bottom here. See if there we go, straighten that up a little bit. And I'm going to put this on the bottom. And it is a little tricky to get started, but once you get one wrap around it, it gets a little easier. There we go. See, you just got to get a couple wraps started, and then it falls right into place. And then you're just going to figure 8 it around these eyes here. Just imagine how a figure 8 goes in your mind, and that's kind of what you want to do with your thread. And I mean, really secure it is what I would recommend, because you don't want these eyes coming off on you. So take some time and really get some thread around these eyes. And if you see what I'm doing, I just keep straightening them up because it seems to be pulling to one direction or another. So I'll just keep straightening them as I'm tying. Getting everything locked down. And if you can't tell, I've left a decent sized gap up here at my eyelid because it's going to come in to factor later on. So make sure you leave some space up there because we're going to be putting a lot of stuff up there. Alright, now I'm going to, you could stay with your thread how it is there, but for security and to keep this pressed down, I'm going to take it, I'm going to whip finish it here, just to know everything's on there very good. And I'm actually not going to cut it off, I'm just going to drop it right there. Bam. Now, our next step is we're going to take a strip of this wonderful rabbit. And I just have a strip like this, and so I'm going to figure out how I want it. You need to make sure you have enough to come back and cover the hook, and it would seem that I do. So now I'm going to strip this back. If you need to wet it with your tongue a little bit, you sure can. I don't think I need to at the moment, so I'm just going to come around and lock it in place with a couple tie rounds. Oh, my bad. You know what? I put this in the wrong spot. Let me reverse. So I'm going to work my thread down because we're going to do this at the back of the shank here, not the front. That was my fault. So same idea. Right there, find your gap once and twice, 3 times for good measure, I think. Well, we got it going to the side on us. That's okay. I'll pull it around. Now I'm peeling this second piece back, and I'm putting some thread underneath it too, and that's going to keep it pushed back a little bit there. And I just worked my way up there, but you don't have to do that. We're going to stay actually at the bottom here, and I'm going to make a dubbing loop. So let me scoot back a little bit so I got room. And I like to make a fairly large one because this is a pretty large hook shank. And then I'm going to drop around, pull out some more slack, come back and tie the loop down, and then go back forward. And I'm going to go all the way forward here. Then I'm going to pull out some slack and set that out of the way. Trying to keep my rabbit fuzz all out of the way. Alright. Now I'm going to use my dubbing twister here to undo this so I can get my loop back, because it got kind of tangled. There we go. Loop is open. Now that actually isn't a dubbing spinner, it's actually a fly grabber, but it works. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my my peachish orange colored dubbing here, and I'm just going to start breaking it apart and getting it ready to go in the dubbing loop. And we ain't using too much of this, just a little bit. I got a little bit extra here that I'd use, I might throw in with it. It's kind of hard to gauge how much you'll need for dubbing wise for this, but once you get the hang of it. Now I'm also going to grab some of this ice right here, and I'm going to do the same to it. I'm going to just ball it up and get it ready to go in that loop. And the ice dubbing is a little bit tricky to get. Dirty, nasty how hard it is. At least in my opinion. So I got my dubbing on here in my loop. I'm just spinning it up. I'm going to drop it over here to cover up the back end. And then we're going to work our way forward, making that body. There we go. We're getting up there toward the eyes where we're supposed to be. Okay. Alright, now that I got that there, I'll just come in here and tie it off with my thread. And then you can, if you don't do what I did and get it tangled, oh, there we go. You can snip it, or you can unclip it from your thing and just let it do what it needs to do. Now that I'm sitting right here and I got all the dubbing on, I'm going to take this little tool I made here, kind of like it's just a carved down butter knife with a piece of Velcro on it, and I'm combing it down toward its belly just to get all the fibers facing down. Alright, now that they're all down like that, we can move on to our next step, and that's going to be to take our rabbit fur back forward, and we're going to take it behind the eyes too, lock it down real good. There's 2, there we go. Now I didn't make a gap there, so that's why I'm pulling fur back. Actually, let's go back just to make it as best as possible and make another gap, because the gap's going to help the way the fur lays. And this rabbit fur, it gets everywhere, man. People are going to think I was petting a dog when I go out later. A really shitty dog. Okay, now that I got that in place correctly, and you can take a little bit of spit and keep that back, keep it out of your way if you need. I'm going to come in and I'm going to cut this as close as possible as I can get. I missed a layer of hair there. Let me get that. Alright. Okay, just making sure I had that in there good and tight. Now if you saw, I just moved my thread over here to this side, because now I'm going to take another little strand of ice dub and I'm going to keep it, I'm going to try to do my best to keep it in a string type deal. And I got this right here, and I'm going to take it about like that. It's going to be midway. You're going to have some sticking out, and I'm going to lock it in place. Oh, I went over the eye. And now I hope you guys see the reason why I said to leave a good distance right there. Alright, so now I've just rotated my vise around, because I'm going to take another stack of that ice dubbing in the string like that, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it right up here, and I'm going to lock it in very gingerly. Alright, now there's 2 strands right there. You can kind of keep those together while you're doing the strings, and it might help you a little bit. Personally, for me, it didn't make much of a difference. Now I'm going to split these 2 again, and then I'm going to tie them back once more. So now I got that facing back that way. Let out a little slack. Then I'm going to pull this next one back, this other one up here, and I'm going to tie on it a little bit, keep it locked in place right there. There we go, that's looking good. It's looking much better than the first one I did. Now here's where your light ice dub olive is going to come in, and this ain't as stringy as the pearl I've been using, or the ice dub minnow body I've been using. So I'm going to kind of bunch it to keep it tight, keep it tighter than it was, I should say. And I'm going to take and I'm going to stick it right here, and you can kind of have some peeking over, and I'm going to tie it down. Just like that, just like we've been doing. Now I'm flipping her back around. I'm going to take just a hair more of this stringy ice dub minnow belly, just to keep it even with the other side. I'll trim that a little, that was a little too thick than I wanted. And I'm going to sit it on top right there and tie it back in. And just once more, we're going to split right here, and we're going to tie it back in. We're going to rotate back. We're going to do the same thing with this one right here. Now, at this point, I'm going to take my popsicle stick here and I'm going to straighten up some stuff. There we go, that's looking good right there. me tell you, for working with a lot of dubbing like this popsicle stick, and I made this just before we started here, is working awesome. Like, that's really good. I would recommend you make yourself one of them, because it helps a whole hell of a lot. And I'm just making a kind of a thread head up here. And if you're like me and you got a lot of trimming sticking out, you can just clip them off around the thread and the head up here around your eyelid. I think I'm using my dull scissors. When I got them both out using them, I'm real bad to mix it up. Now, I also want to add a few strands of this. Now, in hindsight, I should have done it earlier into this process, but I kind of neglected it. But we're not too far gone to whereas I can't add it. So what I have it done now is I've just pulled it straight down, and I locked it in. Now I'm going to take one to the side here, and I'm going to lock it in this way. Then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to pull it back, and I'm going to lock it in. And I'm going to take my scissors again, and I'm going to snip it, trim it, because make sure it ain't going too far back. I'll do the same thing with the other side. We'll probably wind up sniffing that rabbit's fur string I got just a little bit farther back as well. And we'll comb it down with our popsicle a little more. Getting kind of wild. Oh, I got my thread. Now I'm going to finish up here up at the tip, making this thread head. Alright, we got that nice teardrop pattern with that. I'll take my whip finish tool, I'll load her up, and I'm going to put a few down on it. Go. Okay, our last step here, most certainly one of the easiest, I would say, in my opinion. We're going to take some glue, and I got some heavy time UV glue right here. And I'm going to clean off my dubbing tool, and I'm going to put a little bit on the tip of it. Right here where our thread was poking out at, we're definitely going to get a good glob. I like to get it all around, right up in here. Oh, there gosh, there's more I got to trim off. Hold on just a second. I didn't realize it was poking through from up there. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to just take this and rub it across, get a good coat on each side. Watch out for your fuzz, because there will be some everywhere, just because of how this is. Now I'm going to take my UV light here, and I'm just going to run it across it, everywhere I put that glue. Alright. Okay. Pry this thing out of our vise here. We got it in there good. Okay, that was looking great. Now you can see it pretty well. I'm trying to make sure nothing's crossing over and getting where it's not supposed to be right now. There we go. There is it, the fly without the hook on it. I'm about to put the hook on in just a second. Just wanted you guys to see that. Let me grab one of my 2-aughts here. Only got 3 of them left, so I figured these 3 could go and be added onto this. I'm just taking a second to get this wire real pushed together to get it through the eye loop here. It can be a pain in the butt sometimes. There we go. We'll slip it around the hook, and you want that hook facing up. Gosh, I got my dubbing kind of getting loose on me already. Alright, so there it is with the hook. With your eye, my green dubbin's kind of coming undone there. I might have to try to push it in a little bit tighter together. But this is, there we go. And then that white strip does hide the hook perfectly. Now that has been the Lillooet River Minnow, Lillooet, Lillooet River Minnow. And this is another steelhead or salmon pattern, whatever you want to use it for. And it's, like I said, it's been a very difficult one for me, but I think this one came out pretty good. Alright guys, that was the Lillooet, something like that, River Minnow. You know, it came out pretty decent. I mean, it was much better than my first one. I'll probably tie another, if it's where they've shown, we'll put it on there too. But like I said at the very beginning of this has been my toughest fly to tie to date. So, don't judge too harshly. I'll try to tie another one. Hopefully it'll come out better, and if it does, I'll make a little video and stick it at the end, show you guys. But I think it came out fairly good. I think it'll look better once it's in the water and stuff. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, if you guys could like and subscribe, that'd be great. Check me out on Instagram. I do a lot of stuff on there. Post a lot of pictures. Try to post daily, just different stuff. So go check me out on there. Catch some fish, guys.